Floridar or Pronoundar, every pony. This is BronyDan. It's not original, but hey, you try coming up with reality these days. Folks, I am excited for this episode. And do you want to know why? Because apparently this particular episode was based off an idea of one of the best writers to ever come out of the show, M.A. Larson. Now, we haven't seen his name attached to an episode since Slice of Life back in Season 5, which, if you jog your memory back far enough, was actually my first ever review as BronyDan. Wow, let that sink in for how long I've been going on. So, let's get started with Fame and Misfortune. We begin with Twilight getting caught in a feud between two fillies called Tularula and Coconut Cream and resolving it. And yes, I know one of the characters is named after a G3 pony. It's M.A. Larson. He lives to make sure that we never stop noticing the references.
Friendship isn't always easy, but there's no doubt it's worth fighting for. That sounds familiar. We've learned that friendship isn't always easy, but there's no doubt it's worth fighting for.
Well, after realizing she's referenced herself, Twilight finds the old friendship journal that the main six used to use. Oh yeah, the journal that was briefly used in Season 4 and was never mentioned again. Well, Twilight and Starlight decide to duplicate the journal and decide that maybe the whole of Equestria deserves to read it as well so that they can learn about the importance of friendship. And just so I can tie this back into my first review, I gotta bring this back. It's time for How Much Fan Wank Can We Fit Into 22 Minutes?
Remember this one? For when I helped Daring do? Never underestimate the power of friends who always got your back.
Aw, cheese sandwich! Party cannon! Birth-anniversary!
Well, the book starts to sell really well, becoming a #1 bestseller. However, Twilight and Starlight notice that maybe the lessons aren't being taken as well, as the CMC seem to market the lessons to promote a Cutie Mark camp.
A Cutie Mark camp is a great idea.
Yeah, but the purpose of the journal isn't supposed to be marketing.
Twilight, this is Hasbro. This is like telling Del Boy that he can't sell a certain product. And yet the response would probably be the same.
You know, he who dares wins. You little plonker.
In fact, as this episode goes on, you begin to notice a very distinct pattern, or rather, a characterization of the ponies who have bought the journal. And if you can't see it, then allow me to show it.
I only wish they'd left Rarity out. She clearly doesn't belong in that book with the rest of them.
Still don't get it? What about this?
We don't want to hear her boring lessons. Come on, tell us again about when you met Daring Do.
Or this?
I want to know why Fluttershy keeps learning the same thing over and over again. Be assertive already.
Yep. This entire episode is just one giant satire of all the fans who take the show a bit too seriously by critiquing everything it has and being very critical about it without actually thinking things through. And I love it! So yeah, the ponies have become us as they compare who's best pony, judge the ponies on their past actions, and just relatively bitching. Considering this came out at the exact same time that BronyCon is happening, I would just like to know what the rest of the analysis community thought about this episode when they saw that it was taking pop shots at them. However, all the reactions begin to have negative effects, such as Rarity losing business from it and Sweet Apple Acres becoming swarmed with tourists as Twilight realizes that she's screwed up royal.
Window staring, huh? Was it that bad at Sweet Apple Acres?
It's bad everywhere. How could our friendship journal have led to so much anti-friendship?
I can't believe that a piece of art released to the public would cause such a backlash. That rarely happens! So Twilight decides to try and reason with the crowd outside the castle, and that goes about as well as you'd expect.
I read this journal cover to cover, and I have to say your character would have been much more interesting if she'd stayed in Canterlot.
My character? Twilight was better before she got wings.
Fluttershy is just so painfully shy, it's hard to relate. I mean, come on.
Are Pinkie Pie and Applejack related, or what?
Why does that voice sound a bit familiar?
I can see the future!
Well, there's only one way to fix this. Song!
I never claimed to be perfect. My mistakes are all written in ink. None of us claim to be perfect, and it's sad if that's what you all think.
Now, while I do like the song, and it is a good song about how the main six aren't perfect and that their flaws help them to being who they are, am I the only one who thinks the music sounds like the dazzling song from Rainbow Rocks?
We're not flawless. We're a work in progress. We've got dents and we've got quirks, but it's our flaws that make us work. We will be adored. Tell us that you want us. We won't be ignored. It's time for our reward.
Using the same music cues from another part of the franchise? Clearly they are running out of ideas. But that doesn't appease the crowd, as Starlight brings in the two folds from the beginning of the episode.
Our friendship? Well, we were having trouble until we read your journal. It showed us that friends can go through all sorts of tough times and come through stronger than before. It's made us better friends than we've ever been.
Well, that seems to make the main six feel better as the mob continues to argue outside.
Stay in the friendship moment, Applejack. They can wait a little longer.
Sorry, Twilight, you've created a fan base. They will never be satisfied. Okay, if Slice of Life was a love letter to the fans, this episode was a playful jab at us to calm down about the show. It's not like what Shyamalan did in Lady in the Water or, God forbid, Teen Titans Go, because at least you feel like the staff don't take the criticisms too seriously, that they have to feel like we're the things that's wrong with everything. Will this episode stop all the bitching we do about the show? Of course not. There will always be those fans that take these things to an extreme level. But if you are willing to accept that you've often reacted in a similar way, then you really shouldn't be getting offended by this. Hell, I'll be one to put my hand up and at least admit I've been like that in the past, and I can look back at some of my earlier reviews of just how ridiculous I was. But, you know, I'll still talk about the show and critique it because, hey, it sparks good conversation amongst fans, so I'll just leave it at that. Well, this is BronyDan saying, Nostar.